Hi, my name is Katie Brown. I am the co-founder and CEO of ClassMax, a digital classroom management system for 21st century teachers. Before I show you the platform, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about ClassMax. I actually created ClassMax for my own classroom. I was a classroom teacher, an 8th grade language arts teacher in Orange County, Florida, for about 10 years. Prior to that, I had 7 years experience working in higher education and administration. I have a master's degree in educational leadership with an emphasis in digital education. I was a digital curriculum teacher leader for my school district. So I am proficient and excited about using technology in the classroom for teachers. But even as excited as I was about using digital tools, I often found that by the time they made it into my classroom, they had come from a district level and they were not teacher friendly by the time they got to me. It was a tool that higher ups above me needed, and by the time I really got my hands on it in the classroom setting, it just was cumbersome and didn't save any time. In fact, it cost me a lot of instructional time. And so I started thinking, with all of this passion that I have for technology in the classroom, what would I create if I was able to create the perfect tool for me in the classroom as a teacher? What would that be? And so I started drawing it out in a spiral bound notebook of this is what the page would look like, and then you'd flip the page and this is what would happen if you clicked this button. And from there, I put together a really great team of people that were smarter than me, that knew about web development, and for the past 2 years, we've been creating ClassMax. ClassMax is now thriving, and we are enjoying working with teachers all across the country. We are in all 50 states in 3 different countries and 3,000 plus classrooms. And this year we rolled out ClassMax Schools. So I'll show you both the teacher platform and the administrator's platform that comes with ClassMax Schools. But just know that this originated as a teacher-friendly, teacher-centric tool. I am a big believer in using data to drive instruction, but I don't believe the data should impede instruction. And so the whole idea behind ClassMax is that teachers are able to really dive into their classroom like they would without an assessment in front of them or without a tool in front of them, but they're able to use ClassMax to sort of quantify the things that they're seeing in their classroom on a daily basis. So let's go ahead and jump in. I'll show you how the platform works, and then we'll flip over and I'll show you the administrator platform. So what you see in front of you here is the teacher platform. This is what a teacher uses every day in a ClassMax classroom. I will pause and tell you that ClassMax works best in schools where teachers have access to laptops or tablets or some sort of device that can sort of go with them on the flow. So we have teachers that use their phones for this. We have teachers that carry around, tablets and laptops. We have teachers that are making it work on desktop devices as well. But just its ease of use is maximized when they have a tool that they can carry around the classroom with them. So this is what they see on their ClassMax dashboard. You'll notice right away, these are my students here. My class periods are down the side. Today I'm going to be a secondary teacher for our demonstration. So these are all of my students in my first period class. You'll notice that most of my apples are red. Those represent traditional students in my classroom. My green apples represent ESE students. My blue apples are 504 students. I can also come in, if I go to profile, and change to multiple different apple colors. So let's say I had a student that was an ESOL student, or English was not their first language. I could change their apples, so I was like, oh, I reminded myself as a teacher, oh yeah, this kid needs some extra attention from me. In my classroom personally, the red is a traditional, green is an ESE student, and blue is a 504 student. Now, when I come in, before my students ever get into my classroom for the day, I have to set the standards of instruction that I'm going to teach. We are standards driven, as we should be. So we preload Common Core standards into ClassMax. However, you are able to upload any standards that you really wanted to. You could upload those and track on a 4-point scale. So today we're just going to pretend with the Common Core standards just because it's easy to show. So I'm going to click Standards. and I'm going to select literature. That's what I'm teaching today. I'm going to teach text evidence and themes. So I'm going to select those and assign them to my class period. Now I'm ready to start teaching. My school day starts. My students come in and I take attendance. So I'm going to come over. Now most districts have attendance programs that you're required to use, rightfully so. The advantage, so you don't have to use the ClassMax attendance, but I'll tell you the advantage. When I mark a student absent in ClassMax, and then I'm going to save my attendance here. Oops, my recording won't let me. I'm going to save my attendance here. When I save that attendance and I come back to my dashboard, Mr. Hayes is going to be grayed out so I can tell at a glance who's in and who's out of class that day. So that's one feature you can use if your teachers want to take the extra step. Now let's say I teach a really great lesson and then I turn my students loose and they start working. I notice as they're working that John Adams asks a very low level question. It tells me that he does not understand what I've just shown him. So I'm going to answer his question, and then on my device I'm just going to tap his name and progress, and I'm going to mark him low on those standards that I'm teaching today. Now let's say that I have a group that's doing really well. Their behavior is just where I want it to be. They're using the right academic vocabulary. I should give them some points. I'm gonna have to move my screen again because of my video. If I come down here and click the little button at the bottom, it's going to change me to a group view. Now, this group view allows me to make multiple groups, and I can assign information to those groups as a whole group rather than having to do it one at a time. So let's say that it's table A that's doing a really good job. I'm going to tap table A, and I'm going to give them some progress first. On the standard, they were working on grade level. And if I have time, I might leave a note, working on grade level. If I don't have time, I would just leave that blank. So I'm going to assign that progress to all of the students that are at table A. Let's say that I also have a group of kids, my level 2 kids, whose behavior is spot on. So I'm going to go assign them some behavior. Now, in a traditional independent or individual ClassMax teacher account that's not associated with a school, behaviors do not have these values attached to them. See the ones and the value points? That's a feature of the ClassMax school platform. That's our PBIS points tracking system called Max Points. So when I assign points here, that's going to go into all of those students' points banks. So now they've all got those points that they've just earned. All right, I'm going to switch back over, move my screen again, to my whole view, my whole class view. And from here, it's time to start looking at accommodations. So before I actually get into working with students, I'm going to go ahead and tap whole class, and I'm going to assign the accommodations that are built into my lesson naturally, what I have scaffolded in. So into this, I have clarified directions as I've gone on. I've provided a graphic organizer to them ahead of time, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And they're working in a small group. So those are all kind of built in to my assignment for the whole class. So I'm going to go ahead and assign those accommodations to the whole class. But now that I have some time, I'm going to come sit down with my blue and green students and just sort of make sure that they're on track. But I notice when I'm working with James Garfield that he isn't quite keeping up with where we need to be. So I'm going to modify the assignment for him. So I'm going to sit down with him as a teacher. I'm going to work with him. I'm going to give him what he needs, change the assignment a little so that he's able to sort of progress with everyone else. And then as I'm walking away, I'm going to tap his name on ClassMax and come down to accommodations. Now you will notice up here at the top, James Garfield's specific accommodations are going to appear. That way I don't have to remember what James is required to receive. I see it right away. So I know that I modified his task for him and he worked one-on-one with me. Now, I provided a paper copy today because I also gave them a graphic organizer. So I'm going to scroll down here to the bottom and I'm going to select graphic organizer, if I can find it. Oh, here it is. It's already marked. Okay, so here's my graphic organizer is marked. along with everything else that I've given him for that day when I sat down with him. Now, the only thing I didn't give him was extended time. So if I wanted to go back, I could do that, but I know at a glance, those are the things that he's required to receive, and I'm giving him what he needs in class. I'm going to assign those to his report. Now, let's say as this is going on, Thomas Jefferson raises his hand, he needs to go to the restroom. So I'm going to say, go ahead, Thomas, and I'm just going to tap his name and hall pass, and I'm going to send him to the bathroom. Now, when that happens, you'll notice up here at the top that a little notification is going to point out that I have 2 students out of class right now on a hall pass. Now, if there were an emergency situation on campus, I could tell at a glance that I have 1 student absent and 2 kids out of the room. So I can get a very quick head count using ClassMax. Let's go ahead and bring those kids back from their hall pass. So I'm going to tap on the little bell, and it will show me who's out of the room, where they are, and how long they've been gone. So James has been in the media center for quite a while. I might want to call down and make sure everything's okay down there. But let's say that Thomas Jefferson comes back from the restroom. I'm going to end that timer for him, and that will go to his report. Now let's take a look at the reporting that I can do. In reporting, it's going to show me all the standards that I've taught and where my students are performing on them based on what I've seen in class. Now, I can tell right here that I've got some discrepancy here. I've got a lot that are really low and a lot that are really high. So let's say I might want to pull a group out. Oh, look, when I drop down, it's going to show me what students are performing in which group level. Makes it super easy to do some grouping on the fly in the classroom. And this is instantaneous. So this is based on data I've just now collected in class. I don't have to send off a bubble sheet or wait for a Scantron to come back. I do this right away in my classroom. I also noticed that Mr. Hayes, Rutherford, has not been assessed on this standard, so I might want to kind of pay attention the next time I'm working with the standard to see how he's performing in it. Now, I can also go down and run a class-wide hall pass here just to show my hall pass log. I can also look at my attendance report, so if I forgot to put attendance in one day, I can also use ClassMax to kind of back myself up. I can sort this data as well by individual student. So this is Mr. Lincoln, Abe Lincoln's report on its own. Now I can see here how he's done on progress levels. I can come down here and see what accommodations have been used and the days that they've been used, and I can also see all of the behavior points that's been assigned to him. You'll notice here at the top that there is the points value tracker that goes along with our max points. So he has earned 12, he has 12 points left to spend. He's spent 3 points already based on his PBIS points. These can all be run as PDF reports that can be emailed to administrators, emailed to district personnel, parents, taken into conferences. However you use data in your school, you can use this information and take it with you as well. Now, as this has been going on, that's a very quick, very short synopsis of a few things that the teacher platform can do. But let's go ahead and take a look at how this corresponds with the administrator platform. So if I am a school administrator, this is the dashboard I get when I sign in. It looks a little different. My data is collected across the entire school. I can see total for the day, how many progresses have been monitored, so how many times teachers across the school are monitoring progress. I can see behavior that's been tracked, I can see accommodations that have been used, and I can see hall passes that have been used. I also see here a live hall pass feed, so I can see exactly who's out. So in my school right now, there's only 1 student out on a hall pass, so I should only see 1 kid out in the hallways. And then I can see over here exactly in real time what's being recorded within the school. But real time is great for a snapshot. What if I wanted more information than that? So I'm going to come over here to reporting, and I have the ability as an administrator to run all kinds of reports on data being collected in my school. The first thing I'm going to look at is max points. So this is all the max points, behavior, the PBIS points that have been tracked throughout my school. I can sort these by a date by just clicking on it. I can sort them by student, by grade, by behavior, by the teacher, so I can see what the teachers are assigning. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can actually come in here and get your max points information. Okay, so one of the things that max points allows an administrator to do is to run a roster report of an event. So let's say that I have a September celebration that costs 50 points for students to attend. I can actually come up here and run a report by that behavior. I don't think I have any selected here as a example, but just so you can see. I have, let's say, a September celebration. I could run a report on every student that cashed in on the September celebration. And then I could sort it by student name, and immediately I have a roster so I can check kids into the event as they come in. So it's a nice convenient feature to use for tracking behavior in your school. The next thing that administrators would obviously want to see is the standards progress in their school. So if I select progress as an administrator, it's going to bring up a list of everything that's been tracked in date order in my school. Again, I can sort this by standard. So if I wanted to see how standards are performing in my school, I could sort it by grade, by student, by teacher, however you wanted to sort, you can sort that information. You can also come up here and create a report. So let's say that I needed a second grade report. I'm going to select second grade. I'll select my second grade. If this list would show up, would only be second grade teachers. And then that's that one teacher in second grade. This is all of their data based on standards. Now, if I wanted just the standards for that particular teacher, I could sort it by standards, and then I'd be able to see this is how that teacher is performing on this particular standard. Behaviors, the reporting works very similar to max points. Accommodations, same thing. If I needed to see, this would be really nice if you gave an administrative account to maybe your staffing specialist or your ESE coordinator. They could get in here and pull out data on a particular student for accommodations that have been used across multiple teachers. So this is really the meat of our ClassMax Schools platform, is the ability for an administrator to call up the information from their teachers at a glance in an instant without having to request information from them. That's really it for a very long, shortish presentation of what ClassMax can offer your school. I look forward to speaking with you more if you have individual needs at your school, or if you'd like to see further information about different things you've seen here. I'm happy to dive into that with you as well. So thank you again for your interest in ClassMax. We know that it is a valuable resource to teachers all across the country, and we hope it will be at your school as well. Have a great day.